morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is Tuesday. If you like my videos, please press the like button. Please do subscribe. The sun is shining. It's a brilliant sunshiny day. Well, the morning is anyway. So I'm here in Rochester, and I've got up. I've done what I normally do, make coffee, have a bit of breakfast, feed my cats and dog, and get ready for the first dog walk of the day. That is somebody emptying the bins. The cleaners come round. These are new build flats. I've lived here for 3 years now, and the cleaners come down the road and clean the flats Monday to Friday. So they're cleaned every day, which is good. They're foreign cleaners, they're very nice, they're very polite. Right, Alexa, good morning.
Good morning to the Seven Kingdoms and beyond. I, Alexa of the House Amazon, first of the Blue Light Ring, the plugged-in, and founder of Bad Jokes, am here to herald that on this day in 1996, George R.R. Martin's book, A Game of Thrones, was first published. Bilal Morgulis.
Alexa, what's the time, please?
It's 8:35 a.m.
Alexa, what's the date today?
Today is Tuesday, the 1st of August.
Alexa, what's the weather like?
Currently, in Rochester it's 16 degrees Celsius with clear skies and sun. Today, you can expect lots of clouds, with a high of 22 degrees and a low of 15 degrees.
And Alexa, can you tell me a joke?
Which knight invented the round table? Circumference.
Finally, Alexa, whose birthday is it today?
Today's famous birthdays include American actor and model Jason Momoa, American politician Doug Burgum, English stage and film director Sam Mendes, British actor Jack O'Connell, and South Korean singer, 2000, Kim Chae-won.
Right, I'm a Libra. I was born in September. I'm Libra, the scales. I like astrology. I like crystals, healing crystals, anything new age like that, I suppose. I've always been into astrology since I was a child, and books, reading and writing, and I like true to life stories. Last night I told you I took Max out for a walk. A black dog was gagged. I came home, came into my flat. I watched a film off of YouTube, very good it was too, about a woman that had broken free from basically a mental health unit, and she'd managed to befriend somebody's husband. They had a child, and she tried to frame his wife for neglecting her child. This woman did try to frame the wife for neglecting the child, and in fact it was this evil woman who had been in a mental hospital for actually killing a child. It was a really, really good story, and I enjoyed it, and she got caught in the end. So that's the main thing. I went to bed about 11:30 last night, and I had a nightmare in the early hours of the morning, and it was such a vivid, horrific nightmare that I could actually write it in a book and it could be made into a film. It was that vivid, and it was just horrific. never had such a vivid nightmare for a long time. And I usually write them down in my diary, but I haven't been writing my diary for quite a bit of time now. So it must be about 3 or 4 weeks I haven't written in my diary. I usually keep a diary, but I'm doing it, vlogging it. So basically, because I'd watched that film, it triggered my mind into overdrive. So I watched that film about that evil babysitter who'd framed the wife for neglecting her child, and I had a horrific nightmare. So I can understand where it was coming from. So it was actually so vivid that I could write a book based on the nightmare that I had last night, which gave me shivers this morning. I have managed to get up. So your mind goes into overdrive. When you go to sleep, if I personally watch something like that, sometimes I will get a nightmare or a really bad dream, and I did last night. And you wake up and you wonder if you're in the real world or still in your dream sometimes. So you're in that state. So yeah. Alexa, LBC Radio.
LBC London from Global Player.
I'm not saying it's not for a second, but what's good about living? Just think on that as I chat with this fellow, and then give me what's good about living in Britain. I'll start you with one, by the way. So, and I'm serious now. With the exception of Old Trafford a couple of weeks ago, the weather. Thank God we don't live in parts of Greece or even parts of Italy where it is almost like 40 degrees.
Hello, Mum.
Now, it's quite fun to go away for a couple of weeks or maybe a week.
How are you?
Not too bad, thanks.
But to do it for
Let's bear with me. I'm very tired, yeah?
50 weeks a year, you probably come to England just to cool down.
And that bruise is only just starting to fade.
Real pain in the butt.
Yeah, do you know where it came from?
So let's get more on this poll.
No,
Kieran Kennedy is Director of Politics at Ipsos and joins me now. What's the thinking behind the poll and run through some of your findings? Morning, Kieran.
Yeah.
Morning, Nick.
Probably something like that. But it's been very painful. I've been very weak, and you have to bear with me today. I'm very tired.
I was thinking about 12:30, Mum.
12:30, you sure?
Yeah.
And you do want to come up and see me?
Yes, but 12:30.
Okay then, Jeanette, I'll book a taxi then. You're alright though, yes, you been alright?
Yeah, I just don't get on with this weather.
No, I understand that as well. I can't breathe, can you?
It's not breathing, it just like gives me headache.
I used to get those as well, but I get other things now. You can probably tell by my breathing. I can't breathe very well, you know?
Okay.
Anyway, we'll talk to each other when you arrive, alright? Oh, by the way, I haven't done an order today, but I have managed to get your cat adopted.
That's great, thank you, Mum.
I've got a few things I can give you that I've already here. They aren't out of date or anything. But I thought I'd tell you so you wouldn't be disappointed, alright?
Okay, Mum.
But I tell you, you have got your cat adopted, that's important, yeah?
The
Okay.
work that you and your colleagues
Okay,
do
bye
at
for now,
Ipsos,
see you
on a
later.
Tuesdays versus
Bye.
Wednesdays, you mentioned
And
the
don't forget, I'll give
How
you a
much
ring
is
when
that
I
the
run
pulse
from
or the
the
heartbeat of the
taxi.
nation, would
Okay,
you say,
bye, Mum.
Kieran?
Bye.
Well, the NHS is consistently in the top 3 or 4 issues that people say is most important for the country, issues affecting the country. At the moment, the NHS is number 2 behind the cost of living. So, whilst it's, there's a wider conversation about the NHS, it's always something that people place a great deal of importance on because of the importance of getting GP appointments or their local hospital and so on. But at the moment, there's even more of a sense that waiting times are a real problem, staffing levels in NHS are a real problem, and so on. And something of a hangover from the pandemic and obviously questions about staffing levels and so on. So right now, that is a really critical issue for the public. And again, it's going to benefit Labour because there are certain issues that the Conservatives tend to lead on, and there are certain issues that Labour tend to lead on And health is one that's always been a strength of the Labour Party.
Grateful for your time, Kieran Pedley. Thank you. You're Director of Politics at Ipsos. Kieran wrote a piece in last night's Evening Standard. If you're in or around the London area, you might have seen it, or you can always catch up with it, of course, online. Okay, so let's do this a different way. Okay? Of course it's easy, and quite rightly, and a lot of what we do, and my colleagues do on LBC, understandably, is allow you to vent your spleen, to tilt your anger about immigration policies, about teachers not getting enough pay, about the NHS, about the state of the country. But quite rightly, that's what. Let's just flip this around. Right, the weather. Seriously, aren't we lucky that we don't live in a country where there could be a forest fire in a heartbeat? Here's something else: the history. If you even have I have a degree of appreciation in history. Even if you have a modest appreciation, the history in this country is absolutely world-beating. Come on, the comedy, with a few notable exceptions. I mean, there's nothing funny about being in Germany, is there? I mean, the Germans don't laugh a lot, let's be honest about it. The French have a very weird sense of humour. The Italians are a little bit more slapstick, I kind of get that. Australians turn out a little bit of humour, and with the exception of perhaps The Office and Veep, American TV comedy is not as funny. The American version of The Office, I'm afraid, knocks the British Office for six. Well, actually, probably about 60 or one. Comedy is funny. It is. And the ability to laugh. I'm going to say sport. I'm going to say sport. Look at the exceptional performance of the Lionesses. I know not really dropped into gear yet, but they've done fantastically. Do I need to mention the cricket? All right, the rugby, not so good. But sport. And lastly, here's the other thing, culture. Where are you going to go where you get the sort of in-depth culture that you enjoy? I mean, I know I'm speaking to you from the City of London, but there's fantastic museums and places and theatres in major cities up and down the country, everywhere. So let's just do this slightly differently. In praise of living in Britain, what have I mentioned? I mentioned the history, I've mentioned culture, I've mentioned comedy, there we go. Oh, the weather, okay. You'll have others, and we'll talk about some of those after this. It's 8:45, LBC News headlines. Thomas Watts.
Ministers have been accused of making a mess of preparations to house asylum seekers on a barge in Dorset. The government insisted businesses and consumers will benefit from changes to alcohol duty. And the average UK house price fell at the fastest annual rate in 14 years last month. LBC weather, a mixture of sunny spells and showers, a high of 23 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb. Long delays continue on the M25 anti-clockwise to the Dartford Tunnel. It's slow from junction 3 at the M20 because a lorry has broken down. Still very slow on the M3 southbound to junction 4 at Camberley. That was after an accident where one lane stays closed. Delays of at least half an hour on the A1M southbound to junction 3 at South Hatfield. It's all down to an accident. Islington High Street is very busy both ways because of the ongoing works. No London Overground services running between Queen's Park and Willesden Junction. It's all down to a signal failure, but the Bakerloo line on that stretch is now running, but with delays. And also on the Underground, there are severe delays on the Metropolitan line after a train broke down.
This is LBC.
I'm Susan Tanner from the Darwood and Tanner Dental Practice.
Right, guys, so yes, so my mum's just called. Whether I'm going to go up or not, I'm still not sure yet. I've got probably to about 12 to decide properly. The weather is hot, the sun is shining. I'm just going to take each minute, hour, whatever as it comes, because things can change in the blink of an eye. Yeah, there are good things about Great Britain, but there's a hell of a lot that needs changing. One of them is the judicial system, one of them is the police, and one of them is, you know, how many people are in substandard accommodation that need help, including young families with children that are getting breathing problems from substandard properties. A lot of buildings are falling apart, a lot of buildings are, there's scaffolding outside holding them up. You know, while we are feeding and looking after the greedy, the rich, the poor are suffering. And that's the way it's all been since time began. If you've got money, you can have everything you want. If you're poor, you have to struggle to get food to put into your mouth. Right? So why we continue to overpay the rich, give them more money and more money and more money, and they don't need it, and the poor are going to suffer, right? I mean, I'm not going into it, but that is why the country is going down the pan. The priorities are wrong. We are overpaying people that are already rich, and the poor are suffering, right? There's no difference between the hard work of a cleaner and somebody that's in the entertainment business, right? But the pay is substantially different. It's unfair. And life is unfair. And you realise that as soon as you leave school. Well, I did. That life is unfair, that people don't follow rules, that people aren't nice. In fact, I learned that at school, that people can be very nasty and evil. I'm just going to get on with the rest of my day. I have to look after myself because nobody else does. And I'll see you all later.